What's up, people? Welcome to Fantasy NBA Tonight with yours truly, Aaron Bruski. A hoop-ball.com presentation. I saw some people waiting inside the vent here, but as of right now, it does not show that you guys are in. So I'm going to wait. I'll probably just talk a little shop. You know how we do. Probably mute this tab so we don't have double noise. No, I guess you're in. Yep, you guys are in. So what's up, guys? Welcome to what is the number of the week? I have no idea what number week this is. It's a normal week. It's the first normal week after All-Star Weekend extravaganza, whatever you want to call it. A little bit of a slow day here. We got 5 games today. See, questions are already rocking in the chat room, so that's good to see. To me, it's a little quiet this week. I'm looking at my list for championship leagues, if I can talk here. And there's not a lot of poppy, well, maybe there's some poppy names. There's just not a lot of depth to the waiver wire pickup scene. Get nice and adjusted here, ready to go. As you can see, we got the new setup behind me. You see the hoop ball shirts. There's a hoop ball hoodie behind me. There's some 30 deep going on in the background. Right now, I'm in second position in 30 deep. We got Matt Stroop. That Matt Stroop, as usual, in the top slot. And then I want to say it's Josh Lloyd in the other division and maybe Dan Vespers. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. My team is good, but not great. I feel like it's getting a little weak now. As all my teams had Rashawn Holmes. And in that league, you've got, something like 8 or 9 players that matter out of your 12. You're starting a total of 8 of them. So if Rashawn Holmes was doing anything this season or Gorgie Jang was doing anything this season, I'd be undefeated. I don't think anybody can beat me. When I did that draft, it was amazing. I got like every single pick that I could have imagined. But then, no, Colangelos went out and picked up Ersan Ilyasova today. I kind of wonder, are they going to drop Rashawn Holmes? Like, just send him off into the wild? I mean, he's under contract next season. And then, if I'm Holmes, I don't know. I'd probably be, barring a major change of events, like if they just treat this year as the training wheels year and then bring him back in for next year, I'd be like, peace out. You guys are dumb. Leave it to the Colangelos to add another declining veteran and probably demand that he plays 10 minutes a game. So whatever team plays or gets Rashawn Holmes next, they will be very smart and they will end up having a very nice player in their hands. For me, though, in 30 deep, I need that. Need that, dog. All right, so as usual, go through the chef stuff. I've already looked through the chef stuff. It's good. He's cooking good stuff. All sorts of good stuff going on at Hoop Ball now. We got the new website. Everything looks good. We are we just got this fancy thing that tracks a lot of this stuff that we're going to be implementing into the website. And it's really cool because you get to see it all happen and it just kind of it dumbs it down for somebody like me. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. And I can quickly and easily find the wire, which the chef has labored over like he does every time he gets on the controls for us. He does our Friday night blurb coverage. He's good there. And then obviously the wire, we have him there for a reason. He pulls no punches. He will talk trash on any of my recommendations, which I welcome. Though I will talk trash right back, Chef. We got a preamble, Jimmy Butler, terrible news. And we got a lot of Jimmy Butler around here. It's kind of surprising. Like, if you drafted around the turn of a draft, you got Jimmy Butler. And remember those first 2 weeks, it seemed terrible. Well, after that, it was great. And to have him go down, which it's funny watching people get mad at people online because they're bagging on Tibbs. I mean, how many times do you guys see this movie? maybe don't play your starters, to the 1 minute mark of 20-point games, and maybe these non-contact biggies will not happen. So Chef talks about that. We talked about Kawhi a little bit in this article, and as usual, the schedule grid, which with the new website is so easy to read. You guys might get a little bit of a theme here. I love the website. All right. The big one's Sack. So I'll get a lot of Scal questions online. I mean, I think Scal should probably be owned in all 12-team leagues. In fact, he's a must-own player, just to be clear. I do worry about, it's Jaeger, it's Sack, it's, Scal played 24, 25 minutes in this last one, and just so hard watching. Like, they're going to play Randolph through to the end of the year. I think if I had to pick a number of what Scal's going to average for the rest of the year, I think it's going to be like 26. It'd be my over-under. I want to say over-under 25, but I think he'll get 26 because I think the last week they might just unleash him for like 35 a pop. Or not 35, like 30 or something. Anyway, Scal, 5 games. I mean, you could even look at somebody like Garrett Temple in a 1-week pop. He could also get a DNP rest. But they're not exactly teaming with depth the way that it might have seemed, with George Hill around. Like, you got your point guard bucket all filled up. Frank Mason's been dealing with injuries, and so has De'Aaron Fox to a certain degree. Then you got Buddy and Bogdan. Justin Jackson will get big minutes, not big, but big for him, 15 to 20 minutes down the stretch, if not more. But they're still going to use Vince Carter. They're still going to use Zach Randolph. And when Costa is healthy, they're going to use Costa. And, they're going to use Willie as well. So there you go. That's your lineup you're trying to crack there if you're any of those players. But I think Temple, might log 125 minutes or something over those 5 games. He might log 100 if he misses a game. That's a lot of minutes in a 12-team league. If you're just looking for somebody to get you some low-end stats, that's somebody to look at. The Spurs have 2 games, which if you're a Kawhi Leonard tinfoil hat wearer like myself, you're going to put that hat on and you're going to be like, oh, why did I ever pick Kawhi Leonard? I'm so stupid. I'm going to say that over and over and over again, and then you're going to look at the 2 weeks and think, if there's a chance that Kawhi Leonard comes back, resting 2 more games is not the end of the world. And then, maybe the whole thing that, I'll trust Woj on this one. Woj is so plugged into San Antonio. It's ridiculous. His podcast, which we happen to listen and blurb for you guys, which is these are where the nuggets, one day in the future, we'll have the bandwidth to put somebody on every single podcast and we'll just get everything. But, his thing was that Pop was sending a shot across the bow to Kawhi in his camp, like, hey, you don't get to just sit here and do this all year long. If you're coming back, you got to tell us now. And, we're kind of tired of it. That was my read on it. And then Woj's read on it was that this was a message to Kawhi. If we wanted to make that message as positive as possible, it might have been, hey, we know you're going through stuff, but we need you to tell us now. Otherwise, we're moving forward. That would probably be the most positive, from the standpoint of relations between those 2 parties. It's wild. And, kind of you hear rumblings about the uncle being, part of it. And here's what happens if you're Kawhi Leonard and you don't talk. People speculate. And so you have to, if you're Kawhi, I think you got to come out and basically just say what you're doing and live with it. So we'll see. And I think it's important to kind of at least give some credence to the idea that Kawhi, like, I would say this, after this week, we'll have an answer. So if you've, for whatever reason, had Kawhi on your bench, if you are looking at Kawhi on the waiver wire, I think you get a decision in the next week. That's just my gut. So, in these ad drop decisions for waiver wires and stuff like that, I'm probably going to, no matter what, just keep Kawhi, which is killing me because, like, in my biggest money league, I'm contending without my 2nd round pick. It's so brutal. it's so I might finish in the money without my second round pick, which tells me if I had picked freaking I don't care who, I win. So, which would be a nice payout, which I would love. But at any rate, I digress. The other teams have 4 and 3 games, and then the other thing that the schedule grid does, which I do right here, is we look at games played, not counting today, looking forward. So the Wolves are 19 games left on the season, and then no teams with 20, and 5 teams with 21. I'll rattle them off real quick: Boston, Knicks, Thunder, Phoenix, Spurs. So these are the teams on the bad end of the games played equation. Virtually the rest of the league has 22 or 23, and then you have 4 teams with 24. The Clippers, the Grizzlies, the Sixers, and the Raptors. So if you're looking at guys, if you're looking at Minnesota compared to like Toronto, has 20% less games. That's just something to think about as we go forward through all these picks. So let us continue, and we will go ahead and let the chat room fill up, and I will just sort of pick. Hopefully I'll find something to pick on Chef about. Got a bracketology on fantasy tanking. There's something new every week in this column. Check that out. I like it. Point guards, he's listing Tomas Satoransky. That's shouldn't be available in any league, but I know that Chef's doing the good work to remind people that might play in shallow leagues or don't pay attention. Hey, go get this guy. DJ Augustine is not there for me. I'm not going to use DJ Augustine. I don't think him or Mac are going to be able to get there for 12 team owners, and I don't even know about 14 team owners. So no DJ Augustine for me. JJ Barea is a random late round pick if you want to grab him if he's somehow available in your league. And then Trey Burke is a great one to bring up here. I'll say this. I might be a little slow to the Trey Burke party. I've been very skeptical. I don't know exactly. I'll put it to you guys this way. I don't think he can keep it up, but he's really proving me wrong at this point. He's very productive. He looks like a different player. There's a story in ESPN New York. I don't want to say he found religion, but he something in his spiritual life has changed. And it could be the case that, he wouldn't be the first player to show up in the league, have trouble with the off the court stuff and, not like bad stuff, but just the pressures and the stresses of being in the league. And maybe even, a lot of guys, they're young, they go out too much, they do whatever the case may be. This is a guy that was the odds on favorite to be rookie of the year when he landed in Utah, couldn't get it done. And then, that wild Utah party scene. No, I'm kidding. The disappearing act, and then being able to, just sort of come back and turn it on like this. It will be a boon for Scott Perry, who I've also been pretty critical of, for the way that they've handled this situation. Burke is very comfortable right now, and you'll notice NBA players, they play well where they're wanted. You hear Isaiah Thomas say that all the time. It's not just him; it's a lot of players that say, when I know management's got my back, when I know I'm not getting yanked, after one mistake, when the current is good, they're good. So, you don't got a lot of players in New York. You got a stat set that's really not great. He's going to hit threes. Question is, can he get you steals? He's not getting you blocks. Can he stay above 3 money counters per game? Just kind of a midpoint for a lot of players, especially guards that, are shooting a lower percentage. So he's shooting 53.7% from the field since coming back. He's on fire right now. I think he's worth a look. I think that he's, if you're in a 12-team league and you're looking to try to figure out which guard in New York is going to be successful, I think it's either him or Moutier. I think Ntilikina just completely got steamrolled by the change in management. The coaching situation. Hornacek is an old school coach that's not going to go against management when his job is on the line. So Ntilikina, I think if you put him out there and you really supported him and took advantage of his defense and, didn't yank the minutes around all year, I think he would be in a better spot. But right now, I don't think that anybody outside of 18 to 20 team leagues should be stashing Ntilikina at this point. You would hope if it was going to happen that it would happen after the break. But as I mentioned in a few places around here, I accidentally have him on rosters. Like he would have been gone a week ago. As soon as more or less as soon as Moutier got back, actually is the main reason he should have been gone. But if you held on longer, it's time to cut loose. Tyreek Evans is named in this article, and that's because Andrew Harrison is back on the radar as a 12-team. I almost a must-own guy, and for some reason I thought they might play tonight. They don't. He's going to be a late-round guy if Evans is out. We don't know what the story is with Evans. Evans has no reason to risk further injury this season, so Harrison is a fine pickup if you need a point guard. Probably don't break your neck to go get him. He really does need Evans out, I think, to be a consistent 12-team value. Marcus Smart and Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier in a 9-cat league is a must-own player. Smart, I think, is more of a 14, 16-team guy, and Rozier is an 8-cat, 14-team guy. Really a wealth of players there if you're Boston. Not enough usage for them, though, to go around. Shooting guard department, you got Justin Holiday, which if I'm the NBPA, I'm all over that. I mean, this guy is a young player who needs to establish himself in order to make more money down the road, and he's being told that he's got to sit out. However they handle this, the Bulls are going to screw it up. But Holiday, I don't think he can be a must-own player, and it's too bad because he's had a great year, and all he needed was 25 minutes per game, and he would have been just fine. He might get that, especially if somebody gets hurt. He's not somebody to shy away from, if the right situation presents itself. But I think it's going to be too sporadic. You can't have DNP in the middle of the week if you're in a weekly format, and even daily owners don't want to deal with that. So that leaves David Nwaba, who is a stat set guy. He's got all the athleticism in the world, a little bit of an injury risk, but I mean, this is a guy who is going to earn his way into a better position in this league. And it seems like the Bulls are putting that out on a silver platter for him. So I think I know he's a must-own guy in 12-team leagues. You got to call him that because he's got too much upside to ignore. Shooting's a question, but not really. I don't know. I think that somebody playing in the types of games that they're going to be playing, and I think he's just going to accumulate a lot of stats. And so as long as they don't alternate him and Holiday, which would be a concern of mine if they start playing the alternation game, that could get a little annoying. But, as far as it goes, I could see Nwaba, putting together top 80 value and, it being a nice little pickup there for the rest of the year. After that, there's some talk about Jamal Crawford. I don't know about anybody in Jimmy Butler's absence. I mean, Nemanja Bjelica is somebody that you probably look at. If his categories are something you need, I think he'll get it for you in those categories. But I don't know that he's going to be a 12-team value when you measure everything out. I think the usage shifts quite easily to guys like Andrew Wiggins and Jeff Teague and Karl Anthony Towns. I think that there is no beneficiary there. But if you need his stats, those popcorn stats and 3-pointers, I think Bjelica will get those for you. So it just depends on your team build and what you're shooting for there. Tyler Johnson makes an appearance, and I think he'll be. I mean, he's already worth owning just based on his season-long numbers, regardless of what's kind of going on around him. But to get him over the hump where he's not disappointing you one night and then doing good for you the next and leveling out to this top 125 guy, he needs guys out. So he needs Kelly Olynyk out, Dwayne Wade showing up and that's not helping him. But he needs one of the big boppers out. And Kelly Olynyk's a pretty big one. Like, he handles a lot when he's on the floor. So Johnson, I think he's worth holding for the time being. What else we got here? We got Wes Johnson shows up. I'm probably not going to buy into that. Even though Gallo is a question mark, I just can't get behind Wesley Johnson right now, even with 4 games for the Clippers. JaMychal Green has been good and then bad, so that's kind of his protocol. So if you need a power forward, he might be somebody to take a look at as a stopgap option. I don't think Deontay Davis is going to do it for you guys this year. Jarrell Martin's interesting, though. Every now and then he pops off with the money counters, and then every now and then he plays 32 minutes and doesn't get you crap. That's just a bad situation. It's a bad team. Larry Nance makes an appearance, and you know what? Two steals, 2 blocks in 15 minutes today, and that's the Larry Nance way. So he is somebody to call. He's a must-own player. It's as simple as that. And then Marquise Chris. Chef hates Marquise Chris, and don't we all? I think we all do. Marquise Chris is so game 1 back from All-Star break when he's supposed to kind of turn on the afterburners and get it going for owners. He duds out, but then the following day he put up a good line, for 19 minutes, and the leash is short. I wrote the blurbs. I was like, hey, guys, you got to do whatever you can to hold him. The leash he needed to have the type of game he had in that game. And I'd argue that he needs to keep it up. Like, I mean, obviously a lot of you have already moved on, and that's fine. My thing is, when this guy turns a corner, it's going to be top 60 value. And that's what you want. Somebody with upside. Hopefully you're not relying on a day-to-day basis, though. John Henson pops up. I don't know that Henson's going to be able to pull it off. And let's see what Henson finished with. I didn't record it in my brain. The Jabari Parker experience will continue to take on more and more minutes. Overtime, 12 points, 7 boards, 2 blocks, 27 minutes. I mean, this works. This plays. It's for me, I think there's higher upside targets out there, and I think also I wouldn't be surprised if it ends kind of basically any time. And by it ends, I mean, like, Parker, he played 24 minutes in this overtime game, but let's just say he plays like 26 to 28 minutes. I think Henson starts to get squeezed down to like 22, 23. And then the question is what are you holding there? In a 9-cat league, maybe that plays. Players that lose their minutes sometimes get out of the rhythm. Point being, I don't think there's a lot of upside, and I think owners could move on if they want to. Where are we at here? We got Tyson Chandler's out. Alex Len's must own, guys. This one to me is easy. I don't know that Chandler's not quote expected to be out long, but why would you want to, if you're Phoenix, play a guy with a neck injury who needed an MRI, who shouldn't have been on the floor at any point in time? And I know the Suns have done this all year, but to me, you got 3 players, one being Len that you don't care about, but you got 2 others that you care about, and that's Marquise Chris and Dragon Bender. And getting Bender some minutes at center, or Chris, and with Chris, it makes a lot of sense because he can protect the rim. He can actually be a viable 5-man for you. It's not ideal, but, and so can Bender. Both these guys have good length, and if you're going to go small, it makes a little sense. Point being is Tyson Chandler just can't be playing anymore, and this seems like an easy call if you're the Suns. We got a Montrezl Harrell sighting, and same story with him, low-end guy. He needs an injury to really matter in standard leagues. And then Ivica Zubac is somebody that I think this one is going to be kind of a last 4-week special. I think he's going to come in there, play 26 minutes per game in that stretch, and maybe 24 hell, I guess maybe 22, 26 minutes per game. And I think in that sort of a range, I think he can have at least late round value. So he'll probably need to go a little crazy on the blocks to really matter, to really push the needle. He's been able to do that in the past. He's struggled with foul trouble, and I think right now he's just trying to stay on the floor. He's trying to not get too crazy out there. But he has great chemistry with not just Isaiah Thomas, but all these guys that can get to the rim, collapse the lane, bring over another defender, open up that weak side glass, and he's just comfortable rolling to the rim. So to me, it seems like this is a natural fit. I think he's going to get something like 15.7 boards, on a block per game, and he won't hurt you with the percentages. And that's going to be enough, like I said, for late round value with some potential upside beyond that. And the only question is now, when is that happening? Is it happening right this second, or do you have to wait a little bit while they cycle out Brook Lopez and deal with some of the other logjam issues? But I'm good with Zubac. If you need a big man, you could take a 12-team league and make a speculative ad. I don't think he's gonna. I mean, heck, he might hold value right away. And like if you need a big man, I think he's kind of a must-own player in 12-team leagues. So give him a look. I feel like within a week he'll be a must-own player just right across the board. So I guess that's me telling you to go pick him up. Chef's got some random observations. I'll let you read those on your own. And I think that's it. We're going to go to your questions now. Let's see what you guys did in the chat room while I was just yapping it up. Yeah, Chang Wei, what's up? He says, hello, Mr. Bruski. I say hello to you. I say 12 and 10 team head-to-head 9-cat is Justin Holiday a drop. Unfortunately, and we covered this earlier, I do think he's a drop. I mean, it's unfair to him. It's definitely unfair to us fantasy owners, but I think it's mostly unfair to him, and I don't think we can count on him. So I think, yeah, he's a drop. It was a bummer to see that news. 10-team head-to-head 9-cat. Where do you rank Trey Burke and Andrew Harrison? Who do I prefer? Right now, in a 10-team league, you in a head-to-head, I mean, so like Trey Burke, his stat set alone should cause problems, for his fantasy value. He's been great. It hasn't mattered yet, or it hasn't mattered lately, I should say. But especially in a 10-team league, you really need top 75 production to move the needle, because there's just so many good players on your waiver wire that could reach up and get that, top 75 kind of whenever they want. So I don't know that Trey Burke can hit that. And then Harrison in a 9-cat league, he's going to get dinged for some turnovers. Like, I might try for Trey Burke here just to see if there's like this massive change in what he is. Harrison, if Tyreek goes out for the rest of the year for whatever reason, like Harrison would be my answer. I just don't know how long do you get Andrew Harrison without Tyreek? How long do you get him with Tyreek? So I'm going to reach for the sky here and go Trey Burke. Next question is 12-team head-to-head 9-cat. Rank them. Chris, Scal, Aminu, Yogi, Brook Lopez, and TJ McConnell. So let's see here. So Scal's got 5 games this week. I'd have a hard time. I mean, if this is like an ad drop question, I'd just be like, go get Scal, enjoy the 5 games, and then see what you have after 5 games. I think we're going to have a great feel for what Scal is after this week. But if this is more of a rest of season question, you got some late round assets there in Aminu and McConnell. I think that they're consistent late round assets. So they're kind of the same bucket, just different positions. Brook Lopez, I don't think it's going to happen for him this year. I think they got every reason to develop Zubac, and Lopez might play the kind of 18 minutes that you're seeing and not be reliable. So that leaves Chris and Farrell. I don't think Farrell's going to be interesting this year, so you can drop him off that list. It's really a question of what do you think about Marquise Chris? Scal gives you some upside, and you might look at that and say, hey, you know what? I know the Kings. I mean, and look, the Kings, if they don't play him 20 minutes per game, like there will be a riot. 23 minutes, let's say that they completely disappointed by play, Scal 23 minutes, he might be able to, depending on what's going on around him, like if they, they stop playing Zach Randolph, for instance, and that frees him up to be more involved with things. 23 minutes could totally, get him somewhere. So I think Scal replaces a lot of the upside that Chris has. Chris is basically, you're just taking a more, I call it risky shot, that he stays in this 19-minute range and he never really lifts off. But, if you go minute for minute, you go 23 minutes of Chris and 23 minutes of Scal, Chris has the better stat set. It's not by a ton, but it just is. He gets too many money counters. And so if you want to hedge your bets, it's Scal. If you want to go for a little bit more, it's Chris. And then, McConnell and Aminu, if you just need complete solidarity at what they provide, I think those guys will both continue down that late round path the rest of the year. John Lamb says, hey, AB, is Collison, lost my spot here. Is Collison worth it to drop for slow-mo? I recently added Buddy and Ish Smith. I need help in assists and blocks. I think it's a little troubling that Collison's knee's not, healthy enough right away to get back onto the game. And slow-mo, if we assume that Kawhi's out for the rest of the season, then slow-mo cruises the top 80. Collison's basically in that ballpark. I mean, it sounds funny, but it's like slow-mo is actually the play there. It could be the case that Collison comes back in a week and completely outproduces slow-mo. Slow-mo takes a small hit because Kawhi comes back at some point, whenever, and Collison's the smart play there. I think, this is one of those tough questions where there's two different things at play. Like Collison, I guess it depends on what you believe Kawhi Leonard's going to have happen. I think right now the odds are Kawhi Leonard doesn't play at all this year. So I'm going to take slow-mo here. It's against the grain. It's kind of like a mind bender. I mean, Collison's been so good this year for fantasy owners until this injury that, it would look funny to somebody that's not really plugged in. But slow-mo, he's got that versatility. You need blocks. That's there. He's definitely willing to share the ball. Most importantly, he's going to be healthy. Somebody that they probably rely on down the stretch while they're resting their other guys too. Tiberius, what's up, brother? Would I drop Delon Wright for either Len or JaMychal Green in a 14-team weekly? I would drop him for Len. I mean, Wright's going to deal with the same thing he's dealt with all year. He's going to be a lower-end player. He needs an injury ahead of him to matter. I think with Len, you might have an impact player. I wouldn't do it for JaMychal Green. I think that Wright will be a better player than JaMychal Green, even though, it should be the other way around. Next up, Nwaba or Crowder for the best 8-cat rest of season. This is an upside versus stability play. Crowder's been slow but steady since getting into Utah. I'm going to take Nwaba because the idea that he could somehow average like 4 money counters a game, that pretty much puts the ball in his court there. What do we got? We got Len or Jim Johnson. Jim. Is it James Johnson? Yeah, that's right. Jim's short for James. Ha! Alex Len or James Johnson. I can do this. Jim Johnson. I'm going to go Jim Johnson here. It's close, though. I mean, Alex Len, if good, I think is a top 100 guy pretty easily. And, who knows? I mean, with a center that theoretically should be able to get blocks and, you know, should theoretically be efficient and theoretically, if he's unchallenged, get you something like 15 and 8, you know. But I think that, I mean, we've seen Len slip too much, and I think we've seen Jim Johnson, do well with the money counting stats lately. So, there was the blowout game against the Grizzlies that followed the good game prior to that. We'll see. But I think that Jim Johnson here has got the better stat set, better role, better, even though he struggled all year, better kind of stat set and potential than Alex Len. So it's going to be Jim Johnson. Xavier says, please rank for eight cat rest of season value. Nwaba, Moutier, Hart. Hart's interesting, man. Hart is sitting there just doing his thing. He's got some good money counting potential. He's, also playing without Lonzo Ball right now, and what's going to happen, you got a clogged up backcourt there. I do think that they can play a lot of different small lineups, and Hart can find his way. And I think Hart's going to play 25 minutes a game kind of from here on out. So with that in mind, I don't think that's enough, to get him where he wants to go. But I think he's somebody to pay attention to going forward. And in deeper leagues, I think you can pull the trigger. I'm going to rank these guys, Nwaba, Moutier, Hart, just as you've listed them there. I think Moutier is a late round guy. Yeah, Nwaba, I think, has got the upside. You got to go with the upside. Chung Lam asks, is Jeng worth an ad? And I'm going to say no. I think that usage is going to Wiggins, and I think that usage is going to Teague, and I think that usage is going to Cat, and I don't know that the minutes are even changing that much. I think they just plug in Bielitsa, move a couple guys into the spaces that Bielitsa was in, and that's that. Tiberius asks, am I dropping Courtney Lee in 14-team leagues, or is this trend just an anomaly? I don't know, man. I think this is how they're getting all these guards minutes. I think they went to Courtney Lee and said, hey, we're going to play you 16 minutes a game. Same thing the Bulls are doing. Same thing the Kings are doing, really. To me, it's just like kind of like buying. It's like that commercial where you're buying dinner on a credit card. They tell you how much more you spend. I think when you mismatch your roster, when you don't do things the right way, you create these situations. Like, why is it good for Courtney Lee to play 18 minutes? It's not good for him. It's not good for the team. It's not good for anybody. But it's a way to get these guards minutes. So I don't know that I want to drop him if I don't have to. I mean, he's a top 75 guy if he's playing normal minutes. So I want to give it maybe one more game, two more games, and see, like, is this the way that it is? If it is, then yeah, absolutely, he's got to go. Chang Wei asks, in a 10-team head-to-head 9-cat, rank these guys: Hazonia, Bielitsa, Scal, Burke, Harrison. Okay, so Hazonia's been a top 25 player for the last month, which is absurd. Like, congrats to the people that took a flyer on Mario Hazonia. I am pretty confident he'll be a late round guy for the rest of the year. He's a must-own player. Just a question is like, he going to actually emerge with mid-round value out of this once the percentages chill out a little bit, once he kind of comes back to earth, and these other players, the Aaron Gordons and the Nick Vucevic, sort of established themselves in the pecking order. But the window opened up for him, and he's walked through it. Does a lot of stuff that's kind of not optimal. I was going to say dumb. But like a lot of rookies, you do learn how to stop doing as much dumb stuff. So I think in this list, if he's not the top guy, he's the second to top guy. I think the only other one here is Scal that's really competing with Hazonia. And, when you're looking at Scal with a 5-game week, I mean, Orlando has a 4-game week. I would want to take Scal with the 5-game week, see what you roll it into, and then Hazonia. maybe he'll last. Actually, there's been so little trust in Hazonia that it's possible he lasts. If you're uncomfortable with what Scal's bringing to you, and then you have your finger on the trigger for Hazonia, you might be able to play this both ways, and just got to see how it goes. Conventional wisdom says Hazonia is coming back. The question is how much is he coming back? How much is the shooting going to hurt? Is that going to is that going to affect his playing time at all? Is it going to affect his confidence? Is he going to continue to get the steals and blocks that he's getting? It's a lot of question marks about his value, but I think they all roll up into this guy's going to bring you late round value for the rest of the year and has the potential for mid round value. I mean, hell, if he keeps doing this, he's going to be a top 25 guy. That's crazy. So there's a lot of upside there for Hazonia, but again, you get Jonathan Simmons back, you get the aforementioned two guys back, a lot of guys taking shots. It's asking a lot for Hazonia to continue to be as good as he's been. And then on the flip side, if they do cut Scal loose and he gets to play 28 minutes per game, I mean, he can go 15 and 7 with 1-1 with good percentages. And so that would be obviously better than what Hazonia brings. So I'm going to go Scal by a hair, but it's damn close. And I would not hesitate to switch those out if you think that, Hazonia's really got it going on. This is a new reality. Possible. Ryan Windrum asks, hey, AB, would you drop Henson for Healed in 9-cat head-to-head? Yes, without hesitation. Your other bigs are Capella, Turner, Collins, and Nance. I think you're doing fine there. Yeah, Buddy Hield in 9-cat, he's going to be top 65. He's got top 50 potential. So, yeah, that's an easy one. Go ahead and do that right now. Chong Lam says, I added Scal. When should I deploy him? 1 or 2 more good games or wait until he starts? You could wait 1 more game. I do think that there's an element of them easing him back in right now, with the shoulder injury. And, yeah, I mean, if your game's played or probably if you're managing your games played, I think that you could wait a little bit. But if not, just throw him in there. I think that he looks more and more comfortable, and it's like a shocker. It's like, hey, give him minutes. Oh, wait, now he looks comfortable. So I think he's going to get better as he plays more, which is another shocker. Alan Fang asks, how would you rank Scal, Dedmon, and Kuzma rest of the season? Kuzma is kind of like a top 100 guy, and same with Dedmon. And I mean, Scal, again, to me, he's a top 75 potential guy. I don't think either of those other two are going to get it. So I'm going to say Scal, and then I'm going to go Kuzma over Dedmon. I mean, Dedmon could theoretically have a better stat set, but I think Kuzma is just going to get better and better as the year goes on. And, there's challenges to his value, but, he's somebody they want to develop. And I think with Dedmon, he might be looking at, hey, how can I preserve my career? I don't need to go out here and show anybody anything. I am what I am. And, so I think that might translate into better production from Kuzma as the team goes down the stretch. Alan also asks, is JJ locked into this 30-minute per game role a night moving forward? If so, would I rather have him or Nwaba? So JJ is Josh Jackson, I think, right? Especially if field goal percentage doesn't matter to you, Josh Jackson to me is going to just be fine down the stretch. I think he's going to have more than enough stats. I think that the percentages might eat away at his value, but you got to look at your standings. You got to look at your team build to see if that matters to you. And if it doesn't, he's an easy must-own player. I think he's going to just gobble up stats left and right. So, and what I like is that on a bad night, he can get you a steal on a block as well. So there's a lot to like about Josh Jackson in this particular situation. So I would rather have him than Nwaba because, again, Nwaba, we just don't know. Are they going to say, oh, hey, Justin, we don't want to get accused of sitting you for an entire stretch like the Suns did to Eric Bledsoe, which was dumb for them and was dumb for Bledsoe, and now the Suns are a laughingstock. If you go if you're Chicago and you've sat Holiday 2 games, you go, okay, now I'm going to give you a game here and give you 25 minutes. So what does that do to Nwaba? So Nwaba has that little thing that's kind of hanging on there. Josh Jackson, it's all systems go for the rest of the season. Ryan Windrum asks, how would I rank Brooke Lopez? Jared Allen, Scal, rest of the season, 9-cat head-to-head. I'm just going to go the backwards from the way that you wrote it. Scal, and then Allen, and then Lopez. I think Lopez could easily end the season on the bench, just kind of planned rest. Jared Allen obviously hasn't got the defensive stats that we want, but I think he's going to be mostly good. And then Scal, there's the kind of the weight of the organization behind playing him a lot. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Scal, then Allen, then Lopez. Ryan also asked, thoughts on John Collins rest of season? I think he's just going to have a great time. I think it'll be up and down on a night-to-night basis. I think he might not get the type of minutes that everybody thinks he might get now that the front court is completely wide open. But there's really nothing to stop him. I mean, he's a must-own player. He's a must-add player if he's available on your wire. The situation's cleared out. It is what it is. He's going to, be very strong for the rest of the season. Chong Lam asks, are the Bulls going to bench Lopez and Holiday for the rest of the season? Is Nwaba going to be this good for the rest of the season? I think we've touched on that a little bit. I can see Lopez because he doesn't need to put on mileage. I just don't know about Holiday. That, again, is something that I think that the NBPA should look at. And Nwaba, I think the truth is in the middle with a lot of this stuff. So we'll see. But Nwaba is one of my top pickups this week. Tiberius asks, would I drop Gortat for Prince? Absolutely. Prince has got a nice break here. They had one game this week, or whatever you want to call it. It's not a full week, but All-Star break, light week. And I'm hoping that that's the thing that gets him going again. I mean, he's played a lot of minutes. We'll see. But he is not in the same ballpark of the struggles of Marcin Gortat, who just is not good right now. And I think Gortat is not even a must-own player in 14-team leagues. You might call him that because he's starting, he's getting the minutes, but by production, it's just not there. And maybe it's John Wall's not there. Maybe it's just he's old and he's lost his fastball. Gortat's really struggling. I would say out of like the 20 some odd games that are left, like Gortat's probably gonna have 5 good ones and 15 bad ones. What do we got? We got Scal, Ed Davis, or Zubac. If I can only hold 2, who are my 2? Give me, you know what? Give me Scal and Zubac. If you can't gamble for whatever reason, take Davis and Scal. But I just think Zubac is just like an easy 15-7 with the block. Not this week, but maybe the week after that. Chang Wei says, who's slow-mo Kyle Anderson? Like the chat room helping each other out. Good teamwork, guys. Chang Wei says, in 9-cat, would I prefer McConnell over Trey Burke? And I would. McConnell's as consistent as they come, just outside of the top 100. There's no, they ain't bringing back Fultz. He is what he is. He's or not Fultz, but McConnell is what he is. He's a lock to do what he's done all season. And I love that. And we just one, we don't know if Burke can do what McConnell can do. And 2, we don't even know if in a best case scenario that he could climb up into that mid-round value. So I'm going to go McConnell there. Next up, Tiberius. I'm nervous about spending fab to pick up Len, given that when Chandler returns, Len goes back to 10 to 15 minutes per game. What probability do I assign to Chandler coming back and starting again? Probability time. I mean, it's the Suns, and we can't say that just because one good trade is, to get Elfrid Payton, whose hair kind of looks like a ski slope. If you watch the Winter Olympics, those dudes are crazy on the snowboards. They start so high and then come down and do this crazy trick, and that's what Elfrid Payton's hair looks like. I don't know. I like to come back and start. Like, I think the starting angle is not important. I think that when he comes back, he would probably be started. But that said, who are you filling the minutes at backup center with? And like, why in the world would you give Tyson Chandler 27 minutes? If they give him 25 minutes, that's 23 for Len. And that's kind of I think that's the floor with Len going forward. I also think that the Suns are kind of happy with the way that they've played the last 3 games. Like, you could sense it in the box scores themselves, but I think that they're happy with what they've seen, and to their credit, that's part of the Elfrid Payton trade. I kind of think they don't want to mess with it. So I mean, let's talk minutes with Len, and let's not use starting as the measurement here. I think Len, like I from here to the end of the season, I think he's over 23 minutes. And I think he could go up to 20, say 7 or 8. If he's at 23 minutes, I think he's a late round value. I think it's debatable if it's like top 150. But I would say that he's got a chance at 23 minutes to be better than that. Again, it just comes with the blocks, and it comes with the field goal percentage. And when he's really struggled is when he's been asked to do things out of his range, like shoot. If he stays underneath the hoop. So I guess what I'm saying is there's 2 ranges of possibilities. There's good Len and bad Len. And I think if he's bad Len at 23 minutes per game, it's still top 150. So with that said, I would say it's let's go 85% that he's a 23-minute guy, and then on the 27 to 28, I would give that like 20%, and then you can just scale it down from there. I think you could get him cheap on the Fab too. Looks like we're winding down here. We got Chang Wei says, in a 9-cat, would you also prefer McConnell over Harrison if Tyreek is out for the season? Look, I love McConnell, and I think it's possible he outplays Andrew Harrison if Tyreek is out for the season. Where Harrison wins this is if he we're talking a small sample size here, 20 games or so. It's like anything's possible. Harrison could go on a money counting stat, run that, McConnell is going to do this kind of the same thing every single game. He's a top 125 guy. There's no question. Where Harrison can have some upside is if the shooting percentage isn't terrible, and he also racks up money counting stats because he's physical enough to do it, and there's so many minutes available to him. The problem is when that team gets worse and worse and worse, Harrison's efficiency is going to get worse and worse and worse. And you're a 9-cat as well. That means more turnovers. I'm just going to say I like McConnell over Harrison. Take the money and run. And this is coming from me. I like upside. We just don't know what Tyreek's story is. Harrison could beat him, but I'm going to bet on McConnell having more value the rest of the year. Looks like we're down to one last question. That's a good thing because I'm almost down to the end of my voice. Took the allergy pills today. For some reason, it didn't get me. Or maybe it did, and I just don't know. Will Ish Smith be better than Collison rest of season? Well, in a 9-cat league, the answer is no. And I think we're going to see Reggie Jackson back sometime in the next couple weeks. He was on the court today doing some lateral movement exercises. I think he hurt himself bad. And I also think that they're not going to rush him back. And I also think that they're not going to put him back at a 30-minute role unless you see them fall out of the playoffs, or something like that. And then they just want to see what they have if they can get him back up to speed. So I think that there's going to be a timeshare. I think it's going to be Collison by a lot for the rest of the year. So that is it. I'll quickly look at my sheet, see if there's anybody else to discuss. Jonathan Isaac's just getting done with the G League. I don't know if he's got enough ramp to be good, but he's just somebody who's got, steals and blocks and threes potential. I think just kind of keep him on your periphery. Adebayo, one good game, one bad game. What else is new? What else we got? Nerlens Noel going to come back. You feeling lucky? Feeling lucky? What else we got? Brogdon, kind of hanging out there. It's probably not going to be helpful for a lot of you, but, who knows in a couple weeks. Well, that's not relevant. What do we got here? Kevin Love, maybe take a chance. I think we've covered it all. Jonathan Simmons, late round value the rest of the way. Royce O'Neal, still kind of sort of getting it done. Could very well get it done for the rest of the year. Late round value, of course. Kyle Quinn, late round value. So, yeah, I think that's it. Tiberius, you know why I did that? Because I knew you'd sneak one more in. Who do I drop, or would I drop Butler in a 14-team weekly? Yeah, man, I think so. I mean, we're looking at how many weeks? 7, for the rest of the year. It's that roster spot, I think you would have to be pretty stacked and not worried about, like, there's some teams where you just know you've got, your lineup covered and you can stuff somebody on the bench and, get that last 2 weeks of first round value, which might play like you say late round value for 4 weeks of another guy. That's one way to look at it. We are sitting here and we've got well, first of all, we got a tech error. I don't know why the schedule didn't update. My apologies for those of you looking at the schedule grid. I updated this 2 nights ago, and I almost wonder if we'll blame it on Panda. It's Panda's fault. It's not highlighting the week that we're in. But anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks is what we have. And so I think he could come back for, within 4 weeks would be a very Jimmy Butler Tibbs thing to do. 3 at the most. He just had surgery. We don't know exactly what the surgery is. It could be like a tiny clean out surgery. I think that they put him on the floor with like 2 weeks to go to get his wind back so he's ready for the playoffs. And then in a best case scenario for fantasy owners, you're looking at that they are going to try to bring him back early because the Wolves are losing or something like that. I just think it's going to be 2 weeks, maybe just 1 week, just to get his wind back. And how are you going to even deal with that? So 2 weeks of production, 5 weeks off. I just think owners got to cut their bait and try to get better assets. So, yeah, I would drop Jimmy Butler. Unless I can look at my roster and I'm in a 14-team league, say I got 12 starters and then another 4, reserves. Let's say I've got 14 good players that I know can be in that lineup and I can just let Butler come back whenever, then I'm going to hold him. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of background on what's going on. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for your service. Thank you guys for, being a part of the Hoopball family. We appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow with the weekly lineup show. We're getting close, guys. We are getting close. It's winning time. You guys, good luck with everything this week, and we will chat with you tomorrow.